Good day everyone, we are in tutorial 3 group 2 and today we'll discuss chapter 7, structuring and designing organizations. Before we start, let me briefly introduce our group members according to the sequence of presentation. Darren, Jiaci, Anton, Weishi, Alice, Weilin, Dewei, Xianning, me, Jolene, Jasmine, and Weijun.
Okay, so our presentations included 5 chapter discussion questions and also 2 case applications. Let's move on to the first one, the discussion questions. Hello everyone, my name is Darren and today I will explain the 6 key elements in organizational design. I will briefly describe each element and give one real example to make it easier to understand. First is work specialization. This refers to dividing tasks into smaller specific jobs to improve efficiency. Employees become faster and more skilled, but too much specialization can cause boredom and high turnover. For example, in fast food restaurants, one worker only grills burger, while another handles payments, which increase speed but often lets repetitive work. Second is departmentalization. This is how jobs are grouped after work is divided, such as by function, product, customer, or location. The goal is better coordination and accountability. For example, a technology company may separate teams into smartphone and laptop divisions, so each product line can focus on its own performance. Third is chain of command. This shows who reports to whom in organization. Authority is the right to give orders and responsibility is the duty to complete tasks. Clear reporting lines reduce confusion. For example, in schools, teacher report to vice principal, who then reports to the principal. The fourth is span of control. This refers to how many employees a manager can supervise effectively. Narrow spans create more management levels, while wide spans create flatter structures. For example, in a factory, supervisor manage fewer workers because tasks require close supervision. Fifth, centralization versus decentralization. This focuses on where decisions are made. Centralizations keep decision at the top, while decentralizations allow lower level manager to decide. Most organizations use a mix. For example, retail stores often allow store managers to decide local promotion. And finally, formalization. This refers to how much rules and procedures guide employee behavior. High formalization creates consistency, while low formalization allows flexibility and innovation. For example, airlines use strict procedures for safety, while startups operate with fewer rules. So to conclude, these 6 elements help managers design
Hi everyone, my name is Lin Jiaci. Now I will explain about the concept of traditional and contemporary organizational design and discuss whether these designs are influenced differently by management style and the environment. Traditional organizational design refers to structures that are hierarchical, formal, and stable, with clear authority and specialized roles. Decision making is usually centralized at higher management levels, and this design is best suited for predictable environment. Example of traditional organizational design includes the simple structure, functional structure, and divisional structure. In contrast, contemporary organizational design is flexible, adaptive, and collaborative, with authority being more decentralized. Employees are encouraged to work together and participate in decision making. This design is more suitable for dynamic environment. Example of contemporary structures includes the team structure, matrix project structure, boundaryless structure, and learning structure. Traditional and contemporary organizational designs influence differently by management style and the external environment. Traditional organizational design works best in stable and predictable environment where change is minimal. In such environments, managers tend to adopt a centralized and control-oriented management style, focusing on efficiency, standardization, and clear procedures. This allows organizations to operate smoothly and maintain consistency in their operations. Overall, traditional organizational design emphasizes stability, control, and efficiency, making it suitable for predictable environment. On the other hand, contemporary organizational design is shaped by dynamic and fast-changing environment, such as industry that requires constant innovation, as highlighted by AIHR. In this condition, managers need to adopt participative and flexible leadership style. that encourage collaboration and shared decision making. Contemporary organizational designs supports innovation, rapid decision making, and adaptability, enabling organizations to respond effectively to continuous change. Therefore, management style and environmental conditions plays a crucial role in determining the most appropriate organizational design. Thank you.
My name is Chu Entong. Now I'm going to present question 7.3. Compare the strengths and weaknesses of a functional structure. What are the strengths and weaknesses of a simple structure?
Now, what are simple structure and functional structure? A simple structure is a basic organizational system a company uses to centralize its operation. It is usually categorized by low departmentalization, little work specialization, extensive control, and little to no formalization or policies that governs operation. In plain terms, a simple structure doesn't have multi-layered management system or formal departments. Whereas for functional structure, it is a hierarchical organization method that groups employees by their specialized function or departments. This structure divides the organization into distinct departments based on specialized skills, expertise, and resource required to perform specific functions. Here are the comparison of strengths and weaknesses of simple structure. The strength of a simple structure include being fast, flexible, and responsive because decisions are centralized, and it is inexpensive to maintain due to minimal hierarchy. Furthermore, it offers clear accountability since authority rests with one person and encourage broad employees' responsibilities. Conversely, its weaknesses include limited scalability, as the structure breaks down when the organization grows, and over-centralization which leads to the leader being overloaded and becoming a decision-making bottleneck. This structure also carries high risk and over-reliance on that single leader, and often suffer from a lack of specialization or expertise among generalist employees. On the other hand, the strength of a functional structure are cost saving from specialization and minimal duplication of resource, as specialists are grouped together, leading to economies of scale. It promotes the development of deep expertise within departments and provides clear career path for employees. The primary weaknesses are the creation of functional silos or insulation, where departments focus only inwards, leading to poor cross-functional coordination on organization projects. This structure also results in slow and inflexible decision making because coordination across many departments are required and causes difficulty fixing responsibility when problems arise between functions. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tan Hui Shi and today I'm going to discuss about question 7.4, which is contrast the design of a boundaryless organization and a structureless organization. Explain the points of contrast with examples. The first aspect of contrast between boundaryless organization and structureless organization will be in terms of organizational structure. For boundaryless organization, barrier between the team is reduced, but leadership is still present to provide guidance and strategy. For instance, there are a lot of different departments under global tech company, such as marketing department, sales department, and all the departments will work across each other to complete the goal of the company. However, a leader will still be present to make the final decision. For structureless organization, there is no leadership and everyone is considered equal. For example, a volunteer group where everyone is equal. The second aspect of difference is decision making. For borderless organization, decisions are decentralized, but leader will make the critical decision. For example, a company where teams decide how to handle project, but leader approve the final plans. For structureless organization, decision will be made by the group as a whole. For instance, a community group decide together how to organize a charity event. All the decisions are made solely through group discussion since no leader. The last aspect of contrast is communication. For boundaryless organization, it is structured for collaboration to ensure clarity and goals alignment. For example, a global tech company uses online platform like Microsoft Teams to collaborate and communicate with other departments. For structureless organization, it is informal with no structure which may lead to confusion. For example, a company uses messaging apps like WhatsApp to communicate with everyone for everything, which will easily lead to lack of clarity as this is not a structure or proper way to deliver information.
Good day, everyone. My name is Anis, and today I'll be answering the question 7-5, that is contrast mechanistic and organic organization. First, in terms of structure, a mechanistic organization has a rigid and tightly controlled structure. It emphasizes a clear hierarchy, high specialization, and strict departmentalization where employees have well-defined roles. In contrast, an organic organization is more flexible and loosely structured with adaptable roles and a strong focus on collaboration across different functions. Next, looking at decision authority, mechanistic organization relies on centralized decision making. Authority is concentrated at the top, and narrow spans of control create tall organizational structures. On the other hand, organic organizations decentralize decision making, giving more authorities to employees at lower levels. This is supported by wider spans of control, resulting in flatter organizational structures. Moving on to communication, mechanistic organization mainly use formal communication channels. Information flow vertically following established rules and procedures. In comparison, organic organization encourage informal communication, allowing information to flow both vertically and horizontally to promote teamwork and coordination. Finally, in terms of rules and adaptability, mechanistic organizations are highly formalized with many rules and procedures. This makes them suitable for stable environments, but slower respond to change. Conversely, organic organization operates with fewer formal rules, enabling faster adaptation and making them more suitable for dynamic and rapidly changing environments. And that is it for the comparison between mechanistic organization and organic organization.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tan Wei and today I will be presenting a summary of the case study titled Torrance and United Air. This case looked at how United Airlines handled several major incidents and the impact those decisions had on the public. First, let us focus on what happened in 2017, a year United Airlines would come to associate with intensive public scrutiny. During this time, the company encountered a serious crisis after multiple spread incidents, each sparked by strict enforcement of star rules and protocols, which garnered international outcry over their handling of passengers. In March 2017, when two teenage girls were stopped from boarding a flight from Minneapolis to Denver, the reason given was they were wearing leggings which the gate agency violated United dress code. To address the criticisms, United later explained that these passengers were pass riders, meaning they were fine using employee travel benefit. This is due to pass riders are seen as representative of the airline. They are held to a stricter dress code compared to regular paying passengers. Despite this explanation, the public reaction remained overwhelmingly negative. Many people felt that the rule was applied too rigidly and questioned whether employees had enough discretion to handle the situation more reasonable. The next and even more serious incident occurred in April 2017 involving Dr. David Dow. His flight from Chicago was overbooked because United needed seats for 4 crew members. When no passenger volunteering to give up their seat, United selected Dr. Dow based on company criteria, even though he explained that he needed to see the patient the next morning. In the aftermath of these decisions, when Dr. Dow refused to leave the aircraft, the situation quickly escalated. Airport security officials were called and Dr. Dow was forcibly removed from his seat. He was injured during the process as video of the incident spread rapidly online, causing global outrage. As a result of the incidents, Dr. Dow filed a lawsuit against United States which was later settled. In addition, 2 of the officials involved were dismissed. This event severely damaged United's public image and became a symbol of poor crisis management. Soon after, a new challenge occurred in Houston involving a couple traveling to their wedding in Costa Rica. After finding someone sleeping in their assigned seats, they moved to nearby empty seats. Although they later complied with instruction to return, they also were followed, but after that, a U.S. Marshal eventually removed them from the flight. In response, United defended its decision by stating that the couple repeatedly attempted to sit in upgrade seats that they had not to pay and failed to follow crew instruction. From United perspective, this justified removing them from the plane. Finally, the most tragic incidents occurred in March 2018 when a flight attendant instructed a passenger to place her dog in an overhead compartment. Despite the passenger hesitation, she complied. Sadly, when the flight landed, the dog was found to have died. United later admit that this action was not in line with the company policy. Now, let us move on to our discussion. Our discussion topic is evaluate how United Airlines handled each of these incidents. Do you think that United Airlines was within its power to respond the way its employee did? Why or why not? At first, for the legging incidents, the handling was technically correct according to the internal policy as the teenagers were violating the travel dress code. However, the enforcement were rugged and failed to consider the public option. Ethics. Yes, it was a long-standing policy for employee and pass riders who fly for free or at a heavy discounted rate. These individuals are required to present themselves in a way that represents the airline image. Since the passenger agreed to the terms of the program, United was within its right to enforce the written code. For the Dr. David Dow incidents, although United policy allowed for the involuntary denial of boarding, the decisions to physically remove a seated compliant passenger were excessive. Calling airport police escalated the situation beyond reasonable control. While employees followed procedures, the airline failed to exercise judgment and compensations. This response, although technically allowed but not ethical or socially appropriate. For this case, the United Airlines are not within its power. Although United has the power to remove passengers based on its policy for inventory removal, it did not do by so violent means. For the couple injected on the way, United claimed it was within its power to eject the couple for not following crew instruction. However, the response again showed little flexibilities. The punishment appeared disproportionate to the behavior and suggested a reliance on authority rather than problem solving. Yes, it was within its power. According to United statement, the passenger were not compliant with crew instruction. Airlines generally hold the power to eject passengers who do not follow crew command or safety protocols. However, the passenger disputes this, claiming they returned to their seat when asked. Plus, the dog in the overhead compartment. This was a worst-handled incident in terms of employee competence. The flight attendants did not just enforce a strict law, they enforced a non-exist rules. United later admit it is not the policies to put animals in the overhead compartment. This was not the winning power for United Airlines. United experts admit that it was not the policy to put animals in the overhead compartment. The action was a direct failure of the employee to follow correct procedures rather than an enforcement of airline rights.
Hello everyone, my name is Ding Dewey and I will be talking about discussion question 712 and 713. Question 712. How would you describe United Airlines' view of formalization? Do you think it's appropriate? Explain. In my view, United Airlines demonstrates a highly formalized organizational structure where employee behavior is guided by detailed rules and standardized procedures. Employees are expected to strictly follow written policies such as dress codes, boarding priorities, seating rules, and safety regulations. The incidents show that employees have little flexibility or autonomy to use personal judgment, even when situations require empathy or common sense. For example, enforcing the dress code on past riders, forcibly removing Dr. Dao, ejecting the honeymoon couple, and the mishandling of the pet incident all reflect rigid rule enforcement. United's management appears to believe that consistent rule following ensures fairness, safety, and operational control, but this comes at the expense of the customer experience. Some level of formalization is necessary and appropriate in the airline industry, especially for safety, security, and regulatory compliance. Airlines must follow strict aviation laws, and employees need clear procedures in emergencies. However, United's extreme formalization was not appropriate for customer facing situations. Employees lack discretion to de escalate conflict or adapt to unique circumstances. This rigidity turned minor issues into viral public relation disasters, harming United's reputation and customer trust. In short, while formalization supports efficiency and safety, over formalization reduces empathy, flexibility, and service quality, making it inappropriate as the dominant approach. Using information from the chapter about contingency factors that favor either the mechanistic or the organic model of organizational design, what do you think United Airlines organizational structure should resemble? Be sure to think about this in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. Now, organizational design typically falls along a spectrum between mechanistic and organic structures. A mechanistic structure emphasizes strict hierarchy, formal rules, and centralized decision making. An organic structure emphasizes flexibility, employee empowerment, and decentralized authority. United Airlines currently operate closer to a mechanistic model, which prioritizes efficiency and control. According to contingency theory, organizational structure should match the organization's movement, while airlines are highly regulated and large in size, factors that supports a mechanistic design. They also operate in dynamic, customer-facing environments where unexpected situations are common. Passengers, weather disruptions, overbooking, and service recovery requires real-time decision-making, which rigid structures do not handle well. United Airlines should adopt a hybrid organizational structure. Core operational areas such as flight safety, maintenance, and regulatory compliance should remain mechanistic to ensure efficiency and consistency. However, customer service and frontline roles should be more organic, allowing employees discretion to resolve issues without rigidly applying rules. Empowering employees to use judgment would reduce conflicts, improve service recovery, and prevent reputational damage. United Airlines' problems arose because it over-prioritized efficiency and cost control while neglecting effectiveness in customer service. While mechanistic structure reduces costs and ensures consistency, they can undermine customer satisfaction. A balanced structure would allow United to remain efficient while also being effective in delivering positive customer experiences, which is critical in a competitive airline industry. And that is all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Yozian Ning, and I'll be explaining on discussion question 714. What do you think United Airlines should do in the future? What suggestions or enhancements might you have for its organizational structure? Firstly, employees were acting like a machine, not a person. United needs to shift towards an organic model. This structure is adaptive, flexible, and relies on cross functional teams rather than strict hierarchy. In an organic structure, an employee would have the freedom to solve the problem creatively like a normal human being. United was operating as a mechanistic organization that is characterized by rigid departmentalization, strict chains of command, and high specialization. It treats the company like a machine designed for efficiency. Dragging a passenger off a plane wasn't a choice by one person, but it's the result of this kind of system that was more important than human decency. Next, formalization. United should lower the formalization. United should give the employees guidelines, not laws. If a rule doesn't make sense in a specific situation, like putting a live animal in a suffocating box, right? It doesn't make sense. The employee should feel safe ignoring the rule. From the case study, it is shown that United had extreme high formalization. When the flight attendant forced the dog into the overhead bin, they were following explicit job descriptions. In highly formalized organizations, employees have little discretion over what is to be done. They just do what they are told. Third, centralization versus decentralization. United should decentralize as they suffer from too much centralization. This will push the decision making down to the managers who are closest to the action. Decentralized organizations are capable of making the decisions faster and solving the problems more effectively. If a gate agent had the authority to write a check for 2,000 ringgit on the spot to find a volunteer, the entire Dr. Dao incident would have been avoided, right? The gate agents likely felt that they couldn't offer Dr. Dao more money to give up his seat because that decision had to come from a manager or was kept by a corporate policy. The frontline employees had all these responsibilities, but they had no authority. So this is kind of redundant and useless. 4. Structure follows strategy. To fix their reputation, their strategy needs to move to customer service and innovation. Once the strategy changes, the structure must change to support it, such as investing in training, empowering staff, and valuing employee judgment over raw efficiency. Well, this is because United's strategy was more focused on minimizing costs and boosting efficiency. They only prioritized cost cutting and built a structure that punished waste and only rewarded strict compliance. So for question 715, I'll be explaining on how do employees' actions reflect an organization's stance as far as being responsible and ethical, and how might managers encourage employees to be more responsible and ethical even when rules must be followed. To answer the first question, employees are like a mirror of the company. First one is robots versus humans, a mechanistic structure. United was running like a mechanistic organization, having rigid hierarchy and high specialization. And United, this meant roles were so sliced up that no one felt responsible for the whole customer experience. The gate agent only cares about the boarding list, the flight crew only cares about the schedule, and the baggage handler only cares about the bins. And the consequence to this is that there's no empathy. An employee thinks, oh, this is not my job about the passenger's feelings. My job is to just clear this seat. This is because when employees are treated like robots, they stop using their human judgment. The second one is fear factor, a culture of compliance. If an organization punishes mistakes severely but rarely rewards initiative, employees naturally becomes risk aware. The employee who put the dog in the bin likely feared getting in trouble for a loose item in the cabin more than they feared the consequences of the dog being in the bin. So what happened? Fear freezes ethical judgment. Employees stop asking, is this right? And start asking, will I get fired for this? This is a failure of leadership, not just the individual. So the conclusion is that employees generally don't want anything to be difficult. They wake up, don't want anything to be difficult. Their behavior is usually a rational response to the environment their bosses created. For the second question, I'll be explaining on how managers can fix these issues. First, teach values, not just rules. This is because while they need high formalization for technical safety, low formalization is actually needed for human interactions. We can't write a script for every possible problem, right? Managers should replace those scripts with guiding principles. For example, the Nordstorm department chain store gives employees a motto: use good judgment in all situations. This single value tells staff on how to handle a complaint in any situation better than a 100-page rulebook could ever do, right? Second, reward good judgment, not just speed. Employees will always do what you pay them to do. If United's managers only looked at charts showing on time departures, then employees would naturally crush anything that slowed them down. So, how? United should actually change the scorecard. Managers should track and reward problem resolution metrics. For example, if a flight attendant de escalates a situation, that should be rewarded as a win just as valuable as an on time departure. Publicly praising these stories to everyone shows that ethics is actually very important. Lastly, make it safe to speak up. In a top-down mechanistic structure, communication usually only flows one way, down. Information rarely flows up. So managers need to create a bottom-up feedback channels. For example, the employees should ask staff which of our rules make you look like the bad guy. And when employees sees that their feedback actually changes the bad policies, they become more engaged and responsible. This is the end of case application 1. Thank you.
Thanks to Wei Ling, Dewey, and Jeffrey for the clear explanation of case application 1. Now, let's move on to the case application 2, titled Lift Off Managing the Knowledge Resources of NASA. This case focuses on how NASA manages, shares, and applies knowledge in a highly complex and mission-critical environment. Let's break down into the 10-point summary. First, when we think of NASA, we think of brilliant minds achieving the impossible. Their achievements in aeronautics research and deep space exploration prove that their employees are incredibly talented and knowledgeable. 2. However, talent alone isn't enough in a mission-critical environment. At NASA, knowledge sharing is a big deal because there's zero room for error. Number 3, the real challenge is that NASA is just so big with so many different teams. It's really hard to make sure that life-saving information actually travels from one team to another without getting lost. 4. Thus, NASA administrators realized that knowledge management was absolutely important to mission success. 5. To address this, they didn't just tell people to share more, they built a digital backbone. For example, they implemented collaboration tools like video libraries and specialized web portals to make data accessible. 6. Not only that, they even developed a customized search engine with a structured classification system. This ensures that when an engineer is looking for a solution, they get accurate and relevant information instead of getting lost in a sea of data. 7. Besides, NASA maintains an extensive searchable library of case studies and publications to document every past success and failure. 8. They also use a lessons learned database and process index documents. By standardizing these lessons, they make sure that if a mistake was made 10 years ago, a new team today doesn't have to repeat that same costly error. Number 9. NASA knows that sometimes a database isn't enough. You need to talk to a human. So they establish knowledge networks that allow employees to quickly identify and consult with on-site experts for immediate guidance. Last, This is supported by a culture of workshop and social exchanges, where information is passed down through direct interaction. So, by combining high-tech tools with these human connections, NASA ensures that there aren't just a group of smart people, but a unified and constantly evolving learning organization. Let's move on to the first discussion question. Is NASA a learning organization? Why or why not? My answer is absolutely yes. NASA is a learning organization. We'll look into the four categories why it is a learning organization. First, let's look at the organizational design. Usually, in a big agencies, you have to follow a strict chain of command to get answers. However, NASA broke those boundaries down. They created knowledge networks of experts across different locations. These networks empower staff to bypass former hierarchies. Example, if an engineer has a problem, they don't have to wait for a manager's permission. They can consult directly with the most knowledgeable person on that specific topic and anywhere in the agency. Next, it's about information sharing. NASA builds a digital backbone using online collaboration sites and video libraries so that information is open and timely. But they knew that too much info was overwhelming. So they developed a customized search engine with a structured taxonomy so that people can find the accurate answer they need fast. However, I would say none of this would work without leadership support. They encouraged collaboration and set shared vision. In terms of that, NASA's administrators didn't just buy software, they actively showed that managing knowledge is important to the organization structure. By making this a strategic priority, they mandated the use of these tools and ensured that sharing became a part of the daily job, but not an afterthought. Lastly, there's about organizational culture. You can have all the tools in the world, but people have to want to share it. So, NASA fosters trust through social exchanges like forums and workshops. This creates an environment where peer to peer sharing is the norm. It encourages people to collaborate without fear. In conclusion, it clearly shows that NASA is a learning organization by combining these four elements: organizational design, information sharing, leadership support, and organizational culture.
My name is Jasmine Ng Zisheng. For question 17, I'll be explaining the ways in which NASA's environment is complex. NASA operates in an environment that contains many different components, rapid changes, and a high level of uncertainty. One major source of complexity is its high technical demands. NASA's core work involves rocket science, which requires large teams of highly skilled engineers and scientists. The spacecraft it uses, such as the Space Shuttle, cost millions of dollars and require extremely careful maintenance and supervision. Every mission involves enormous technical risk, and NASA must ensure that all systems work perfectly to avoid risking astronauts' lives. This high level of responsibility and technical expertise makes NASA's environment more complex than most organizations. NASA also faces complexity due to ongoing changes in its goals and direction. When its main project mission ended in 2011, NASA struggled with its identity and long-term purpose. To redefine itself, the organization started setting ambitious new goals, such as reaching an asteroid by 2025 and sending astronauts to Mars by 2030. These evolving goals influence NASA's planning, strategy, and decision-making. This forces the entire organization to continuously adapt. Another aspect of NASA's complexity is the challenge of managing its immense amount of knowledge. With thousands of employees working across different departments and long-term projects, NASA needs effective systems to store, share, and transfer information. To handle this, the organization introduced collaborative platforms, decision forums, and workshops to encourage knowledge sharing. This prevents important information from being lost and ensures that the teams can access knowledge they need for future missions. In summary, NASA's environment is complex because of its high technical demands, constantly changing missions, and the need to manage and share vast amounts of knowledge. These factors make NASA's operation challenging and require the organization to be highly adaptable. Next, for question 18, I'll be explaining how this complexity affects NASA's structural choice. Because NASA operates in such a dynamic and uncertain environment, NASA leans towards an organic organizational structure instead of a rigid or traditional one. An organic structure allows open communication, cross-team collaboration, and decentralized decision-making. This means that people closest to the problem, usually the engineers, can make decisions directly. To manage its complexity and achieve the organizational structure, NASA adopts several structural designs. One of these is the team structure, where employees from different departments work together in teams focused on specific tasks or missions. This encourages flexibility and allows NASA to respond quickly to new challenges. NASA also uses a matrix structure, which is ideal for highly complex projects such as spacecraft development. Under this structure, specialists are temporarily assigned to a project team, but once the project ends, they return to their original departments. This ensures that ongoing operations are not disrupted while still allowing NASA to allocate expertise where it is most needed. In addition, NASA uses a project structure where employees work continuously on different projects. After completing one project, they carry their skills and experience into the next, which creates a highly adaptable workforce that can keep up with NASA's changing goals. NASA's boundaryless structure removes barriers both internally and externally. This means that NASA can collaborate freely with outside organizations, experts, and even international agencies. This openness allows NASA to source talent and ideas from anywhere. Finally, NASA also aims to be a learning organization where employees continuously gain new knowledge and apply it in future missions. This supports NASA's effort to manage its massive knowledge resources and encourages a culture of continuous improvement. In summary, the complexity of NASA's environment directly affects its organizational structure. By using organic, team-based, matrix, project, boundaryless, and learning structures, NASA ensures that knowledge and expertise are effectively used.
Good day. Now I'm going to present about questions 7/19. What suggestions would you make to managers at NASA about being a learning organization? First of all, managers should encourage open feedback and knowledge sharing. As NASA operates in a highly complex and mission-critical environment, collaborations and communication are essential for the success. By fostering a culture of open communications, employees are able to freely share their ideas and lessons learned across the team. Tools such as forum, workshop, as well as collaboration platform help makes knowledge accessible to everyone, which ensure critical information flow effectively throughout the organizations. The second thing is that managers should invest in continuously learning. Continuous learning is crucial at NASA due to the technical complexity of its work. Providing regular technical and software skills help employees to develop expertise in cutting-edge technology. Supporting lifelong learning ensure the work remain capable, adaptable, and ensure the workforce are ready to tackle future challenges and beyond space missions. And the third thing is that managers should promote experimental and innovations. Experimental drive innovation at NASA. Employees are encouraged to safely test new ideas and learn from both success and failure. This culture of experimental allowed NASA to continuously improve process, push technology boundaries, and achieve ambitious goals such as long-distance space exploration missions. And the fourth point is that managers should leverage technology. Technology play a key role in managing NASA vast knowledge resource. Online platform, collaboration platform, and video libraries help employees access and share information quickly. Researchable case study, process index, and expert network allow staff to provide guidance effectively, which ensure critical knowledge, support mission success, and innovations. In summary, NASA success depends on effectively managing knowledge, fostering collaborations, and encouraging continuously learning. By promoting feedback, training, experimental, and leverage technology, NASA ensures the team remain innovative, adaptable, and ready to achieve ambitious space exploration goal. Thank you.
Well, that's all for our presentation from Tutorial 3 Group 2. See you in the Q&A session. Thank you.